Okay, well, welcome everybody. My name is Kelly Foster, and I am an Emerald Ambassador in Michigan. It's cold and dark and not awfully pleasant, but here we are because this is important, and we want to take just a minute or 30 to talk a little bit about gut health and just kind of the basics. What is affected because of gut health and how Plexus products can help. And, I want to say that I'm not necessarily an expert. I feel like when we kind of go, okay, who wants to do the gut health training? I feel like everybody jumps in there and volunteers for something, and then gut health stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I'm not an expert, I want to say that, but I do appreciate the science. I read a lot of science. I'm drawn to just kind of understanding why. And so I guess as a teacher, it's kind of natural for me to try to explain it. So I hope that I can teach you something. I hope you learn something. And so I'm just going to kind of, go back to the basics with gut health. So it's been called like your microbiome, your microbiota, your gut flora. And all of those terms really just refer to the fact that we are made of trillions of microbes. We're human cells, and we're also microbes. And we actually have about 4 times the amount of microbes that we do to human cells. And so sometimes when you're reading about it, they'll say, well, we're actually more microbial than we are even human. But it's true if you're really just counting numbers. And so we are talking mostly about the microbes that are found in our gut. And so in our gut, we have microbes that help us to digest fiber and complex carbohydrates. And so to digest our food and to help us to break it down into its parts so that we can absorb the nutrients that we need. We have good microbes and we have bad microbes. There are germs, there are fungi, yeast. So lots of different microbes that make up our gut flora, if you will. And the idea is this, that we're supposed to really be kind of staying in this ratio of 85 to 15% good to bad bacteria. That would be ideal. When you're born, you get the microbiome of your mom, if you will. She passes her gut health onto you through both the delivery method and her breast milk. And so, that's kind of point A. And that's going to just affect our immune system. 70% of our immune system comes from our gut, our ability to fight off disease and infection. And also science now knows like our neurotransmitters that are generated in our gut. And so over time, and I always kind of just throw this number out there because I'm 46, approaching 47, over, 50-ish years of living, and I've really tried to live a healthy life, especially in my adulthood, make good, healthy food choices, but really by no fault of our own. The number of antibiotics that I've been on in my life, every time I had an infection, an ear, cough, a sniffle, what have you, we know now that every time you take a round of antibiotics, it not only is knocking out the bad microbes, but it's also knocking out your good microbes. And there are even studies now that indicate that your healthy microbes don't replenish, do not repair, they're not restorative without intervention. There are studies that indicate that. There are other studies that say it takes up to 2 years. But if you've been taking antibiotics, all your life, like me, and then on top of that, if you've taken a round of steroids or birth control pills or over-the-counter medications or eat sugar, and I talk to people about this all the time. Okay, I'm really didn't eat sugar per se, but if you live in this country and you eat in this country, then you know that there's really sugar in everything. And so as much as we can try to avoid it, because of our industrialized food supply, because of kind of the way that we have lived these last 50 years, there's that number again. I know some of you, it's not anywhere near that long, but we really have to go back and fix the damage that we've done to our microbiome. And so back to that ratio, we're supposed to have this ratio of 85 to 15% good to bad. And most of us are completely the inverse of that ratio, where we're 85 bad, 15% good. And so that's bad. You know, we know now the last 2 decades have been very heavily focusing on researching gut health and its connection and its link to everything from diabetes, heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune disorders, skin, anxiety, depression, the list goes on and on and on and on. And really the biggest one that people I don't think talk a lot about is just that low-grade systemic inflammation. And so if you have poor gut health, which most of us probably do, we're probably not in that pristine 85, 15 good to bad. That contributes to low-grade systemic inflammation. And if you have low-grade systemic inflammation, that is the precursor to all disease, all Western disease, obesity, you name it. And so, we really have to kind of just reset. And that's kind of how I talk to people about it. We're really just resetting our gut health and giving ourselves an equal playing field so that we can, then, deal with things as they come, but without having that gut health, our immune system, our neurotransmitters, our feel-good hormones, our sleep cycle. If our sleep cycle is out of, whack, then we know that our cortisol is too high, and that's going to affect everything as well. It's really just this terrible cycle of ill health. And so really where Plexus comes in is just to reset and achieve a ratio of good to bad bacteria that is going to be aligned with health and wellness. And that's a good thing. So I just wanted to really quickly, I think you guys probably know, but as you're talking to people, there are certainly symptoms or things that you can look for when you're looking for gut health, but not everybody who has bad gut health is going to be symptomatic. And so we're really shifting the paradigm from treatment to prevention because we're used to paying to be sick in this country. But if you just kind of shift that paradigm to paying for wellness, to investing in your health, even if you're not necessarily symptomatic yet, this is an important investment in our health, obviously. So let's see, what did I want to talk about? They're the good microbes that we really want to kind of pay attention and focus on, and that you're going to find in Plexus products: Bifidobacterium, Lactobacillus. Those are really biggies. Okay, so we have several products that are going to help with just kind of focusing on gut health and tipping that ratio back to good to bad. I probably should talk about this really quickly when we talk about gut health. It's not just the ratio of good to bad bacteria, but it's also the biodiversity. So the variety of microbes that you have in your gut. So if you lack biodiversity, that's also connected to ill health and different symptoms and autoimmune diseases, depression, obesity, mental health, healthy weight, and all of those. So we want to make sure that we have biodiversity in our gut flora. And so really what happens is when you annihilate the good, the bad does not have a competition. They have no competition. And so they can thrive. When you have that ratio of good to bad, the good kind of keeps that bad in check. And the good is going to be able to, just like any living thing, reproduce, and they're going to keep that bad in balance. So when you introduce Plexus products, you are taking away that you know, that bad ratio, but you're introducing the healthy competition with the healthy microbes, and you're getting rid of also, besides those bad microbes, you're getting rid of yeast. And so we talk a lot about yeast because you could buy any probiotic over the counter, and even pharmaceutical grade, you know, that you get from your doctor or from your naturopath. And to get the product that you're getting from ProBio 5 that's going to not only take care of repopulating lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, but also has antifungal. So we're getting rid of candida yeast. And candida yeast, if you don't know, it's a fungus that we are born with. Our bodies need it to decompose when we die. But unfortunately, that same industrialized diet of high sugar and
Alex, did you vacuum?
Cheese and what have you, it also creates an environment where candida yeast can thrive. And so candida yeast kind of takes over. It thrives in that environment, and that's another problem that brings leaky gut into the discussion, and a whole host of other health problems. Any autoimmune disease where the body is actually attacking itself. I don't know if maybe I need to clarify this, but when you have like a bug bite or you hit your knee, that's an acute case of inflammation, and that's good. That's your body like protecting and keeping out the pathogen and keeping out bad microbes. But when your body recognizes within your bloodstream, within your cells, an attack, and you have this chronic low-grade inflammation, like you're fighting off all the time, this is what contributes to those autoimmune diseases and to leaky gut. And it's really just this cycle of ill health. So products, and we're just going to reset that good to bad bacteria by repopulating good bacteria by killing back candida yeast. And so that's really, you're not going to find that in any over-the-counter probiotic. You know, we have actually like looked at the ingredients in ProBio 5 and gone to the pharmacies and tried to recreate that product, and it's really difficult to do, and takes sometimes up to 7 different products to do that, and nowhere near $34.95. So in ProBio 5, you're killing back candida yeast, okay, which has to happen, and you are repopulating the bifidobacterium and the lactobacillus. It has grapeseed extract, but it also has, in order to get, and I don't want to go too much into depth into this call, but you know, it has the protein necessary to get to candida yeast, which is very difficult to get to. There are so many people, guys, if you really dig deep and talk to people who have problems with like severe problems with gut health, with IBS and IBD, and you know, intolerances and allergies, and getting rid of candida is imperative, and it's hard to do. And unless you are taking a product that has chitosanase, which is a enzyme that actually will break through the exoskeleton of, it's not technically an exoskeleton, but it has a hard exterior, and it's hard to get rid of. And so there are people who go to naturopath after naturopath after naturopath, and doctor after doctor after doctor, and they just can't get rid of it. They can't get better. And then they take ProBio 5 and they get better. And we've seen it over and over and over again. This product it's life-changing. It truly is, especially for people who really have gut health issues, severe gut health issues. Really quickly, I have a friend in Canada who, and you know, in Canada, they're, it's not called the FDA, I can't think off the top of my head, but their regulations on ingredients and on products it's blows the United States away. It's crazy. Well, she was in adrenal failure. Like, she was sick in adrenal failure, and she had been seeing a doctor, several doctors, and she had gone through many doctors for years, and she thought she was going to die. Like, she was sick. And finally come to find out, well, what were you taking? Exactly what was in Probio 5. S. bouillardi, which is a pro yeast. People see S. bouillardi on Probio 5 and they kind of panic because it's a yeast, but it's a pro yeast. Just like you have probiotics to attack bad bacteria, S. bouillardi is a pro yeast, and it acts like a probiotic, but it actually technically is a yeast, but it combats that. Okay, so we have Probio 5, and that is a phenomenal product, and that's part of our gut health arsenal. The other thing that we have is Slim XOS. And so Slim Microbiome Activating, it is part of our triplex. And so it's a drink that you drink every day in conjunction with Probio 5. And it has actually prebiotics. And so prebiotics are just fiber. But in order to be classified as a prebiotic, it has to actually boost good bacteria in clinical studies. And so we know that XOS, which is a prebiotic, it boosts lactobacillus like 365 times. It boosts bifidobacterium like 400 times. It boosts Akkermansia, which is a probiotic that we have in our bodies, but people who tend to be overweight are lacking, and so it boosts Akkermansia. It also boosts some short-chain fatty acids that are essential for a healthy metabolism. And so, that's a really wonderful complement to anybody who is just paying attention to gut health and trying to just kind of reset their gut health for optimal health. And of course, it has chromium and other wonderful things, but that's the part of it that really focuses on gut health. And then finally, I want to talk about BioCleanse. And I talk about BioCleanse a lot. Somebody posted on their team page the other day, well, what is your favorite product? And I sat there. Well, first of all, I tried to get out of it. And then somebody kind of, said, well, no, you have to say what your favorite product is. And really, truly, like, BioCleanse has to be my favorite product. And it's hard to say that because I love them all. But BioCleanse is so underrated. And people skip it all the time. And it is critical. It is such an important product. So as a part of the triplex and how it kind of complements the gut health products, first of all, it's a magnesium supplement. And magnesium is necessary for over 300 enzymatic functions in our body. So pretty much everything and all energy functions in our body. We need it for metabolism. We need it for healthy weight. We need it to be able to build muscle, which we have to have in order to metabolize fat, for anxiety, for depression, for people with migraines, are typically low in magnesium. And so it's very, very, very important. And 80% of us are deficient in magnesium. And so we need to be supplementing magnesium. And me, as a healthy person who in my whole adult life has really made mostly healthy food choices, even I know that I could not get the magnesium that I need each day by consuming food, because our food is not nutrient dense anymore. It's just not. And so you need to be supplementing magnesium, period. But BioCleanse is paired with vitamin C. And so when it reacts with the vitamin C in our bodies, the magnesium hydroxide creates or makes, just through a chemical reaction, magnesium ascorbate, which when you see a magnesium supplement that ends in 8, that means it's chelated, which means it's the most absorbable, is that right? Absorbable, yes, there we go. Form that there is. We need to be able to absorb it. And so there are lots of magnesium supplements out there that are much cheaper to manufacture and so on and so forth. Plexus products are always going to be in their most absorbable form, always. That's the integrity that over the course of 3 years I have found over and over and over again, bar none. And so, okay, so we're absorbing this magnesium, but here's the other thing about this reaction is that it's going to create oxygen. And so if you guys Google oxygen and health, it's used in cancer treatments. It's used in all kinds of different treatments, because when you have an oxygenated atmosphere, that's something that pathogens, including cancer, cannot thrive in, cannot exist in, cannot coexist in. And so you're oxygenating your arteries, your tissue, your cells, and you're raising your pH. So every person on the planet who has cancer has a pH that is too low, and that is a fact. So you're raising your pH, you're oxygenating your tissue, your cells, your blood, and you're really creating an atmosphere that is inhospitable to pathogens. And that's not really gut health, but here's the part that is gut health. So you're doing all of that, which is critical for just disease prevention and general health. But that oxygenating action, it creates this motion of movement. And so because of this industrialized food supply, our food is full of toxins. We're getting toxins through what we eat. We're getting toxins through the air. We're getting toxins. We're inundated with toxins. And so unless we are eliminating very, very, very regularly, toxins are absorbed by our tissue, by our fat cells, by our body. And so this motion, this forward motion from the magnesium and the oxygenation from the magnesium helps us to keep those toxins moving out of our body. If they do not leave our body, then they are absorbed by our tissues. And so this is like an analogy that you may be familiar with, but when you think of ProBio 5 and BioCleanse, ProBio 5 is like the toilet scrubber. It's scrubbing the toilet, it's cleaning everything, all that gunk out. And then BioCleanse is flushing the toilet. It's keeping everything moving. And I hear people say all the time, well, I go to the bathroom regular. That's great. I'm glad you're going to the bathroom regular, but are you getting all of the other benefits that you could be getting from BioCleanse? And so that's pretty much what I wanted to cover, unless anybody has any questions. I really feel like there's not a person on the planet. Before you're symptomatic, it's that paradigm shift. And I think that's why we share, because we are helping people to make that paradigm shift that we're paying to be well. There's no greater investment that you will make than an investment in your health. And so that's what Plexus products are doing. That's what this is. You may not be symptomatic, but you're purchasing, it's like an insurance policy for quality years and for more quality years. I wanted to say this one last thing before we go. If you watch Super Saturday, or if you were there, Dr. Logan impressed me so much. So he had a 22-year career with NASA, and he was the chief medical advisor for, other titles associated with being a medical doctor that NASA would employ, which is pretty impressive. But he went on to explain that his primary focus, his job, was the human body. And so they are very much focused on longevity and wellness and pretty much everything that Plexus is. And the fact that he probably could have left his 22-year career at NASA and gone anywhere anywhere in the world that he wanted to go and he came to Plexus is, it speaks volumes about the integrity and the efficacy of this company and what we're doing. You know, and his quote, I think I've quoted it like 100 times since then, but we know this, but to hear him say it, you know, who am I? What credibility do I have? What credentials do I have? But to hear him say it, you know, the human microbiota is fastly coming the cornerstone of health. And it is. It's been 2 decades of research, and it's been duplicated over and over and over again, that if you do not have gut health, you really don't have health. And sicknesses and diseases and ill states of health are being connected to, you know, that poor ratio and poor diversity in the microbiome. And so look at us, kudos to us for sharing and helping. I'm just gonna keep talking unless you guys stop me. Are we good? All right. Thank you guys for joining me.
You're the smartest person I know, Kelly Foster.
Aw, Jenny, I love you. You're my biggest fan.
I am.
Hunger control. So hunger control, I'll just answer this question really quick. Hunger control is great because it has chromium, which chromium is essential for that glucose control. And that's not what this call was about. But glucose control is second to really gut health, in my opinion. It's everything. So you're still going to get the glucose control. You're still getting alpha lipoic acid and all of the benefits of glucose control and alpha lipoic acid. The difference between the two is that Slim XOS has pre-dietary fiber that feeds good microbes, and hunger control has pre-dietary fiber that is just a bulking agent. And so it just kind of contributes to that feeling of fullness. So people who tend to over snack, that's why it's called hunger control. So the fiber just kind of makes you feel full and satiated so that you're not overeating. And that's the only difference. You get all of the other benefits. Great question. Any others? Because then I'm going to end the recording. Okay. Recording, stop recording.